Yeah,
okay. Hold on just a minute. I gotta get this going.
We all here? Oh, today.
When did we start? Did we
Oh,
start with
okay, so I
9
had-
plus a couple of alternates or something?
Yeah.
And then we whittled down to, we whittled down to 6.
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay, roll call.
Mark Linscott.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You can do it if you want.
Go ahead.
Fred Arn.
Here.
Fred Venture.
Here.
Mark Linscott.
Here.
Ron.
Yes, here.
Here. Esther Wilson.
Here. Okay, pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Review and approval of minutes. Everyone had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes. Motion to approve.
The only thing I saw was the committee homework. We said we were supposed to create the verbiage for the rural 5 and 10. But from what I remember, that was, which Milton did, but from what I remember, Milton was supposed to do his magic and wordsmith it and send it out to us. I don't know if we want to change that or not.
Is it relevant?
Is it irrelevant?
No, is it relevant?
Well, I think we should make it right. So just on the committee homework side, Milton to create verbiage for rural residential and send out for staff homework or for committee homework, something like that. Can we do that? Oh,
She's your
oh,
admin.
I'm sorry.
So you want, instead of on committee homework, you just want it to be reviewed draft documents sent by Milton.
Yes. Yep. And then under the staff homework, it was Milton to create the verbiage for our 5 and 10s. And then I'm good.
You could just drop committee homework and add it under staff homework. That would be the easiest way to deal with it, I think.
Oh, she already got it.
Yeah, got it.
Okay,
So.
Because we didn't have any homework.
okay,
We'll do it at the end.
Perfect.
okay. All right, we'll pass on that for the time being. Announcements.
Well, you can go ahead and approve it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, all right. Read back it. Will you read back again?
So it would say, under committee homework, it would just be draft documents sent by Milton. And then staff homework would be, send current maps, edit draft documents, include suggestions, create verbiage for residential flag areas.
Okay,
Doug Gunner will make a motion to do that.
that we accept the minutes as
As
revised.
revised.
All in favor, or second?
I'll second Ron Nelson.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. Announcement. I don't have any announcements. Anybody? Let's get right to work.
Okay.
I liked what Milton wrote. You're wasting your time with Glenn. He should have been an author.
Yeah.
Anybody have a problem with
If I
it?
ever had time to do this kind of stuff, I enjoy it. Holy smokes. I had some questions
Okay,
in regards to paragraph down, center rural residential. The last sentence, all criteria must apply in order to grant a designation change.
Where was that? Which, I mean,
So this is Sagle Row residential,
okay.
and that last sentence.
All criteria must apply in
In
order to grant.
a designation change. And then when you read through the criteria, adjacent to the Sagle Resort community as it borders the lake. So as I look at the map, let's say we have some property even on the east side of 95 or even out the peninsula someplace, that it doesn't border Sagle Resort community. It's automatically kicked out of being a 5. Am I reading that correct?
Right.
So I don't remember discussing that it has to, because.
Well, I was just trying to describe it. We can change those words. The R5 right now, all of it borders the water in some way, right? Except for, no, it all borders,
Well, it's R5s and R10s, right?
right?
And so this would restrict everything unless it borders something that's on Sagle Resort community on the lake. So the second property back could be 5s. But beyond that secondary property, you can never get 5.
Yeah, I forgot we have literal readers in the audience.
But- and then I also
Feel
think
free
all-
to change
all-
it however you want.
All that stuff out towards Jewel Lake, that none of that adjoins anything, they're never going to be able to have 5s out there. And then the 1, 2, 3, 4, then the 5th one down.
So I guess the point was it's adjacent to Sagle Resort Community, which borders the lake, or as it borders the lake. It's the designation, right? It doesn't. It's wherever that. So typically you have a buffer, right? The resort community borders the lake, and then from there out it's R5, right? So the intent is that R5 was supposed to be a buffer. And that's what I was trying to say in these words,
Okay.
is that R5 is to be a buffer between the 10s and the small stuff.
Right.
But so,
I agree with that thinking.
so yeah, it's just a matter of how do you say it? Because you,
Could we say in proximity? Proximity. I'm not
or
sure.
should I just put a period after Sagle Resort Community?
Okay, so it would read adjacent, 5 acres are appropriate in areas adjacent to the Sagle Resort community, period.
Yeah.
As it borders the lake.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't, because Sagle Resort Community, my point was the land use designation. That's what happens when you write. So,
So if you have an acreage and it doesn't adjoin adjacent to Sagle Resort community, that immediately kicks down to the highest density of 10s.
right.
Could you go down the 4th line down? It says where soil types are not described as prime ag farmland. We discussed that, and I brought months back, my soil conservation service map, big one. We don't have any prime ag farmland soils. And then it says or farmland of statewide importance. I think you meant soil of statewide importance. Didn't you?
Whatever the,
And
Yeah,
could we
yeah,
pull
yeah,
up
yeah.
that map so we can see? Because we have no prime ag farmland. But I think.
We actually do, I
It's
was
very little,
thinking
but
about that, the whole Duford Road. I
No,
mean, not anymore, it's not all.
If you look at the National Soil Conservation map, it is actually defined by them. We might think, oh, that's great farmland. But the Soil Conservation Service has it designated.
There's a dairy farm out there.
That don't mean nothing. That it has to be prime ag farmland
Oh,
designated by the Soil Conservation and their soil map.
soil
books.
conservation.
Soil conservation. And I almost brought that map. I brought it months ago. It's about that big. and we basically have none. But this is the first I've ever seen or soil of statewide importance. If we can see a map of that.
Well, I asked about that a couple meetings ago because it was in the original somewhere. And I asked about that because I thought, you know, if we're stuck with some state designation about soil, important soil, and I think it was Milton said that it really, I don't know exactly what you said, but it didn't really apply to Sagle very much. And I don't see any problem leaving it in there,
Of the, what's that?
leaving this.
Well, the prime ag farmland doesn't give me any heartburn either because we don't have it. But so that's not gonna be a determination, but the soil of statewide.
It says right
importance-
there, all areas are prime farmland. Right there, Gun Club Road.
That's totally up to the soil conservation
What the
district.
heck?
No, that's not what that is.
All areas are prime farm.
So this is the map that we
Okay,
use to
our
make
prime-
these
our prime-
determined.
But it's not in relation to prime ag soils. It's the soil conservation. That's not a soil conservation map.
Why don't- This is the stuff that we use to make
Prime
these
farmland
decisions.
is drained.
So for you to say it's not a soils map,
No,
Not
I'm saying,
accurate.
I'm saying it's not a soil conservation service map.
you're right.
Oh.
All areas are prime farmland.
So if all areas are prime farmland, that right there kicks anything out of being a 5 acre piece, don't it? As written.
It's, so again, I appreciate what you're saying. I think what that was intended to do is, once this is laid down, right? If you want to change that designation, if we're going to identify all these lots as 10 acre and you want to change it to 5, it has to meet all of those criteria if you want to change it to 5. I'm not saying that this is going to define the 5 acre area right now from the mapping part. It's going to define changes in the map.
Right, if someone has a 40 acre piece, and right now they can go into 8 5s, that's gonna be the trigger mechanism to where if we adopt this, and every one of these are not checked, 10s is the smallest they can go, is that correct? Am I understanding
No,
correct?
it's for land use, in order to change the land use designation from 10s to 5s. Okay? So if they're in an area that is zone 5s and we keep it that way, zone 5s, they can do it whatever they want. Okay? But if we designate an area as zone 10s and you want to change those 10s to 5s, it has to meet these criteria.
Right, exactly.
That's what this is saying. So you have to,
Could we do a little more farmland of statewide importance as defined by,
It's a state.
well,
it's
yeah,
defined by this map.
as defined by, what's the map? I mean, that would make it more clear, I think.
Yep. I don't know that it needs to be more clear. I can take that, we can take that sentence out. I don't know that there's any of those areas in here.
Every color states that it's a prime.
Says not prime. Yeah, there's a lot of not. There is, but most of this stuff over here, the area that we thought was the area that you talked about last time as being pasture land or farmland, you're right, it is. But all of this stuff out here is not. So it's pretty interesting. See, not prime farmland. That's the lake, not prime farmland. So
I'm colorblind. What color is that there? It's like a tan.
yeah, this big,
Yeah. That's defined as not prime farm.
right. So most of the farmland is where we said it was. over along Dufert Road down where you said there was some farming going on.
Some on South Sagle Road, I mean, Sagle Road. Not South Sagle. South Sagle had a little bit, but not anymore, I don't think.
So what would you do?
See right there, all areas are prime farmland, that purple.
Make you feel more comfortable with.
Well, I mean, like Milton said, right now, something is zoned for fives. And we can look at, take a parcel out of different road, for example, maybe Irishes. And right now they go down fives. But it's prime ag farmland or soils of statewide importance. They haven't busted anything up. We're going to take away that ability for him to go down to fives. Max, well, he's going to be able to go down to his tens. I'm not sure I can sign off on it. I mean, let's put yourself in landlord's position. If you have that,
And
you're on the menu. Are you going to go get it fixed right now before this is done? Probably.
So go ahead and change the document. This is your document. Change it however you want. It's not I'm not taking any of this personal. This isn't me. I'm not the one that lives out there. So I'm the one that has to deal with the,
So, Mark, you just want to take that
changes.
bullet out? Is that what you want to do?
I'm just trying, this is the first time I've been able to see a map. I was hoping that, of the map that he showed
The
with
soils?
those.
well, if we took out or farmland of statewide importance, or if we added
Yep.
the caveat of as defined by county, the county soils map, or trying to come up with a way
All
that
criteria must apply.
Well, Soil type, everything in here is from our stuff. When we say Sagle Resort Community, you have to refer to our,
These items, this is the first we've ever had in 3 years where we've had this, all
Yep.
criteria must apply. It's the first time we've had that.
well, it says 5 acre parcels are appropriate.
you know, that's taken right out of the zoning ordinance.
What's that?
It's taken right out of the zoning ordinance. If you look under R5 designation or R10 designation, in order to change to R5, you have to meet all the criteria.
Are all those the items in?
All, not all of those, no, but
No. I mean, I just got to open this morning. My idea was I wanted to look at a map and just pick areas out, just take for examples and see if I can live with it.
sure.
Can you go to, who'd you say you wanted to look at?
Say Ike's, our Irishes down Dufert Road.
On the Dufert Road.
Yeah. I'm getting
Where?
right. So I guess it'd be that bullet. I'm colorblind. What's it? All areas are prime farm. Okay. If we could do an overlay of how many of those parcels are larger acreage. All areas.
Farmland of statewide importance.
Yep.
Bada boom, bada bing. I'm not lying after all.
So what is that currently zoned right now? Blue sky. Oh, Tam, that's 5. Yeah, Tam's all 5. But then that's,
And where it's flat as a pancake, it's rural, unplanned rural, zone rural.
so do we understand why this is light blue, or this is 5s and this is 10s? Let's go back to the other map.
We talked about that last week and I didn't.
Right, but
get
we
a
weren't, I
response.
was wondering if that has something to do with soils. What were these colors?
Prime farmland, they're all prime farmland.
Prime farmland if drained. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
let me look. This,
You guys know Cliff? I'll let you go tell Cliff that he can go on 5s.
is what he's saying true? Mil- I mean, is that, but is what Mark's bringing up, is that actually, I mean,
It's possible.
So what am I sharing here?
Same thing, go down the Pierce family, go down to Irish, Pierce. I have 8 families named.
So how would we have to change that
So-
to make it?
So right here, so,
Stillwater.
yeah, this is the zoning ordinance currently. And it says R5 in areas designated rural residential in the comp plan that do not meet the criteria for R10 above. And then it says up here on 1, R10 in areas that meet one or more of the following. So R10 is designated 10-acre minimums if they meet one or more of the following: 30% slopes, critical wildlife habitat, prime ag soils, public-private roads in the floodway, and then limited access to public services. So if they meet one of those, technically they cannot be changed to R5 based on what the zoning ordinance is right there.
And that bullet point C or whatever contained prime ag forest. That's
Prime
right,
ag
that one.
soils, yep. That's how this hoodoo loop or zone change is being denied, is
Well-
because of prime ag soils.
And
That's all.
everything, we just looked at just about everything as prime ag soils, so nothing could go down to 5s right now. is what you're saying.
Yep. It's a tough one.
But if we go back to the map, have we downzoned anybody on that map? I don't think so. On off that and that one's not ours.
Well, is it the dark blue that's 10s? and the light
Yes.
blue is
Yeah.
5s?
Yeah.
So this map is basically the zone map.
Right.
This map is basically the zone map.
That's
So you're right, there are no downzoning. This matches, the dark purple is the 10-acre and the light is the 5-acre.
so the properties that Matt hasn't or Mark hasn't questioned are already 5s and those won't change.
Correct.
So
Yeah, we're not changing anything other than just matching those requirements to change.
So we are at the 28th minute, and you're going to go on record saying nobody's going to be down zone.
No, this is the map that you guys asked to draw.
Yeah.
Dude, this is so far away from adoption. I have no idea what's gonna happen in the next 8 months. So,
I would like to mention that if we're maintaining rural character, we don't want a lot of fights.
Right.
And if we're not downsizing anyone, then the 5s are already there.
Right, when that caveat's already up there. These
so
parcels
all
don't
of
use
that can be
justification.
5s. So all that light blue can be 5s. So you don't want a lot of 5s. That's like 200 square miles of 5-acre
Yeah.
parcels. So,
All right, is there anything that we could put in or take out that would make you feel more comfortable?
I need to study more. I'm not prepared to say accept or reject myself. I want to run what Milton was saying, because my understanding, what you just pulled up the code or 5s, that was going off the soil conservation map, not these maps. And
Well,
just when
that's-
you look at the soil conservation map, I mean, we almost have no soils.
prime ag soils.
Yeah. But this one doesn't, and I thought we went off in CRS maps. I could have swore we did.
All right, well, let's move to the next one there. Where roads are more likely to meet the private road standards as opposed to county maintained roads.
Yeah, I like that.
What are private road standards? My road did not meet private road standards when I came out tonight. There was no sand on it.
It says, and close to county maintained roads. I don't know if that means maintain road standards.
That means you hold your breath till you get to the county road.
Well, everything down below, the next layer down was all sand, right?
Yeah, I know that.
Well, I was okay with the private roads standards.
Okay,
It's private. It's up to you to maintain it.
that's right. It's to your standard.
Yeah, and if you want to do it, that you can get fire protection or services in, that's your problem.
Okay.
You know, it's
What's it
private.
called? The
Well, private road, I was.
Rural conservation?
Obviously.
Soil
Soil.
conservation.
soil conservation.
All right, well, so.
It's hilarious.
Go ahead.
We printed that map out. We printed that map out for Sagle because you can pull, or for Selly, you can pull that map up
Really?
and it will program, it will draw all the data from a defined area and create a book for you.
Really?
We did that for Selly Valley and they did the same thing you guys did. That's not accurate. That's not true. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. So,
All right, well, we got most
Yep.
of the things here.
Good.
Let's go to Sagle Rural Residential 10 acres.
I don't, did we just change from all that soil map to the state conservation one, which has none? Is that what we just did?
Actually,
Well, we haven't-
disabled, basically.
I don't think we've agreed on that one yet.
Well, I would disagree with that because there is no prime farmland on, if Mark's right, there's no prime farmland there. And I don't think that we need to take all those old farms and divvy them down to fives. Personally,
Right. And that's the way it's written right now, then that's gonna keep that from happening.
it's,
And unless it's on currently zone fives.
And, right, well, even if it's zone fives, zoned rural, and our comp plan rural, zoned rural, they can get the fives right now, even if this was an act. Is that right?
well, they'd have to show that those soil types aren't there.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'm a little bit confused, so where prime ag farmland based in soil types and farmland of statewide importance based in soils?
So
From
those,
two
it's just a description.
Okay,
It's, okay, somehow somebody determined that soil type is of statewide importance. Maybe it grows potatoes better. I have no
red
idea. I don't know. Yeah, right. I don't know what it means. It means something, right? That it does, it's a better type of soil. I don't know.
Well, that was why I was questioning whether or not we should add a definition as to where we drew the farmland of statewide importance.
I
If
think,
the one is obviously a soils map put out by the state, and then we have this other one that people are unfamiliar with as to how to draw a conclusion, as to whether or not they can do that. If we give them a clue as to where to find that might help clear it up. Is that, or do we even need to do?
So
that?
the soil map is it's not on the public facing website, I don't think, but it might be.
if it has to meet all of these bullets here, the soil type wouldn't really matter very much because none of that stuff along the Duford Road is adjacent to Sagle neighborhood as it borders the corridor or the lake or Sagle Resort. I mean, and none of that qualifies based on that. But I still think that if the county has a soil map, that ought to be what it's used for. What's used if we're dealing with a county piece of property.
Well, that's
Milton's
kind
gonna
of,
use that map, the same soils map that you guys always use. That's the
Yep.
one they're gonna use.
Yep, that's what.
But this, if that changes to statewide conservation or whatever, the soil conservation district soil maps, is that the same thing?
It is.
Is
I
that
think
what-
it's aged. I think there's an age difference.
So
Because
what
the
you
soil
mean-
maps were adopted in what, 05?
What you had up there, the soil map you had up there is the soil conservation.
That's
map?
it is, but it's, I don't know which version of it is.
Okay.
What Mark is saying is that there's a more updated version on, if you go to our, I can't remember the name of the website. Soil Conservation District, I don't know.
Yeah.
RC&D, not RC&D, but.
Could you pull up that map that you just showed with where it said all land is basically, everything out there is. Yeah.
Not all, just that one circle of it, that one, right? You see how it's got the colors are different? So wherever it was,
Something the soil conservation district.
I was just curious, I mean, because I remember when I was studying the NRCS maps.
yeah, that's what it is,
It was
NRC.
like none of them, but we didn't really have any.
Is there a state soil conservation district? There's a district.
They call it the National Soil Conservation Service, NRCS, and it's a black and white book. It's been in existence for forever because soils don't really change. And let's say you go for an egg exempt or whatever, you take the Idaho Department of Lands, you open that thing up, and they categorize your property. Well, it also shows
Farmland of statewide importance.
Yeah.
It's the Kootenai Bonner gravelly silt. So see, description, Kootenai Bonner gravelly silt, yield to 20% slopes, complex, farmland classification, farmland of statewide importance. Well drained. So good for septics.
Which color is that up there?
That's this green up here.
Okay. That looks pink to me.
Yeah.
Oh, you are colorblind.
I'm very
Holy moly.
You do not want me to wire your house.
Or help you pick out an outfit.
They had a soil conservation district that they were forming, and all the homesteaders were up in Alaska. And so I'm kind of familiar with that, but I didn't know what, I mean, we were little kids, get drug along to the meetings. So we weren't really into it, but I thought it was like a district thing, not, I mean, that their district was determining what the soils were based on the soil conservation criteria.
I think you're taxed to different egg lands when you go in for agriculture exemption. And if it's dry grazing land or what, they look at that map and they tell you what kind of egg. You'll be taxed higher if it's prime soils.
If you're farming it.
No, even if you're not farming, you can be out there growing weeds.
Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can't get our way back in the 10 acres here. Does anybody see anything in the 10-acre ones that, other than where soil types are described as prime ag or farmland of statewide importance that?
So that soil map
Because
would say that? I'm wondering, I'm thinking.
Well, they're both
about-
the same. They're both the same description.
Well, I'm thinking about, we talked earlier about slope and we were looking at all the pink and colors up there. And I'm thinking, why couldn't we just use the soil map? Because the soil map said what the slopes were
He does use the soil map. They do use.
for slope. So like if you were doing,
Oh, I don't know, slope.
We get into 30% slope and greater, you're not in prime soil.
well, I'm looking at 10-acre parcels are appropriate in areas that where sloping is greater than 30% or the soil types.
I like what R10 is.
So yeah, Lens Rock Outcrop Association, 30 to 65% slopes.
And there too, when you apply for an egg course exemption, they look at the egg. These soil maps, and if you're in rocky ground, it's taxed a little bit less than if you're in prime ground.
Okay, so Joe, can we agree that 10 acres is the same? We think that's good.
Well, let me just ask the question on the roads likely do not meet the private road standards. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? Because we were just laughing earlier about a private road is a private road, however you want to maintain it.
Oh, goat trail?
I
Yeah, I was
think,
gonna say, talk to the deer about that.
I think that instead of private, it should be roads likely do not meet county road standards.
Well,
Private roads,
that's
no.
what I was wondering, because
That's, I think that's a better
Because-
way of saying it.
to me, that means you can go down, if something's currently 10, you could go down to 5s if it wasn't on a goat trail.
Yeah, but there's no way you can.
Well, that's true.
Is there actually a definition of a private road standard someplace?
Mhm.
I mean, are driveways private roads? What makes it a private road when it gets beyond a certain length? And what's the standard for that?
Driveways are defined by 2 or more parcels. If it's 3, then it has to become a roadway.
Yep.
Driveway is 2 or less, serving 2 or less parcels.
So then it becomes a private road?
In essence, it's a private driveway.
So is there a standard for a private road?
Yeah, if it serves 3 or more, I think so.
Is that the definition?
It's 20 feet, isn't it?
What?
On a private road standards, the travel way is 20 feet in width.
Oh, right. Mhm.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
Oh, that's correct. And then you have to have
So there
a
are,
designated area, if it's dead ended, designated area for turnaround. So you have to provide an area for, UPS truck, school bus will go down to the fire truck or whatever has an ability to turn around.
But that's if it goes to 2 or more places.
Yes,
Okay,
that's,
so,
that's a private road. If serving 2 parcels, it's a driveway. It's like when you go down past Ron's place into mine, we're on a private road. Across from me, when they subdivided in 5s, where the neighbor's driveway actually goes in at was designated. It's in the title work. It's an access point for them to turn vehicles around.
and we don't want to get into defining what's a private.
No,
well, the reason I asked the question is because we're saying the roads likely do not meet private road standards. And to Doug's point, are there actually private road standards? And it sounds like there are private roads.
Yeah, Appendix A of the
So-
zoning.
And I'm sure that they're codified somewhere,
Yep.
but
Appendix
not
A.
here.
Well, I don't need it. I just wanted to know if that was like a
So you're
real
just
definition.
personal information and you're wasting.
Is
committee
that a real
time.
definition? Is that a private road standard?
All right.
So I think we're good.
Okay.
Myself, I'm good.
yeah, I'm good on it.
You feeling comfortable with you've got 2 where soil types are not described, are in both of those descriptions.
Right, well, one is says where soil types are not, then you go 5s, but if they are prime ag soils, you go up to 10s.
It actually says adjacent to, too, also.
Where you,
And, well, the adjacent to.
Oh,
adjacent to Sagle Forest or Sagle Agriculture.
But isn't Sagle, since we don't have any Sagle agriculture listed, but,
It's right
wouldn't
there.
prime ag farmland be Sagle agriculture?
Already went through. that we have agriculture out there.
Well, Milton, we ended up putting it back in. right
Yeah,
there.
not bad.
Right now, we're discussing the 5s and the 10s.
Right.
The language under both those. And like what's pointed out,
I just wasn't sure what that sentence actually meant with the roads, but if you guys know.
Well, I'm good with the 10s, but now you should have a very good point. I didn't read as far as Doug did. Civil agriculture. So now you guys are gonna have to go tell Cliff Irish, not only cannot go down to 5s or 10s, now he's gotta go down to 20s. Just read that.
Has he been talking to you about
No,
subdividing?
he's a character. So the community, but, I just think what his land is some different stuff you got. And
We need the cafe back open is what we need. To help calm everybody down.
the cafe,
Yes.
insurance companies dragging their feet.
Is that what it is?
See, I mean,
Oh, it's very
that
obvious.
stuff out due for them to be 20s at farmland 2 years like. That designation.
Okay, so talk about the fives, the tens, and then brought up the agricultural definition. So where was our conversation with the two?
I guess we just go to Sagle Forest and Sagle Ag. Is that where you want to go, Mr. Chairman? Just go down the list and be done.
So right now, we've designated the green color, right? As this darker green as, nope, that's around the community. So it looks like on here, it looks like it's time to zoom in.
Does Sagle Forest, I think we talked about this, does that include state lands and federal lands?
We excluded state and federal lands.
Yeah, because we have no say.
Oh, okay, agricultural and
Well,
forest is.
the reason I'm
pink.
asking is because if Sagle Forest automatically includes state lands, which
Which is
obviously
this-
we have no control over,
Right,
but we're saying the 10 acres are adjacent to Sagle Forest.
There's not much. Oh, until you get over there. And there's a
Yeah.
bunch.
That was our limited agricultural.
Yeah, this is the,
that's Missouri Mountain, yep.
And they're calling that Ag Forest, right?
yep, ag forest, yep.
These are all, this is probably all zone 20s right now anyways.
Yep.
So where was the hangup here? But
They just said that tens were adjacent to,
adjacent to Sagle Rural 5, adjacent to Sagle Forest, or Sagle Agriculture.
This is 95 coming here.
yeah.
Or they call that east. That's west.
You're looking, this is zooming in
Oh,
over here, so the map stops right here.
okay. I didn't see that.
Well, it's hard to read.
Yeah, they zoomed in
Oh.
on the corridor.
Okay.
So what's the problem with being adjacent to Sagle Agriculture that doesn't exist?
Oh, it does,
It exists.
it does.
Okay,
Well,
I think we had a pretty good reason that we put it back in there last 2 weeks ago, but I can't remember. So
neither
I
can
vote
I.
to leave it in. We had a good reason first.
It was about the flatlands.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So we agreed that we did have Sagle Agriculture.
Yeah.
Well,
You
if
like-
we're using the soil maps that we just saw a little while ago, we have Sagle Agriculture.
Yeah.
So do we want to leave it the way that it's written here,
Yeah.
or?
I'm trying to envision the effect that this is actually having compared to our current comp plan. Current comp plan, somebody's zone rural. Take the Pierce property and the guy that used to put up our hay. Lassen's.
So yes, you have to remember that one of the purposes of this is to advise the P and Z Commission. They may not adopt this document in its entirety, but you are advising them on what you want. And so it may not create lots of change, but hopefully it's better defining how you want it to stay. And so hopefully, as they look through it, they will see what you're seeing. Okay. We want it to stay the same, but we want it to stay the same by better defining it. Okay. So,
When you say stay the same, you mean as current use now?
right. And I think that's what we've done with the descriptions, or I think that's what the committee has done with all of these descriptions, is to clarify that we're interested in this area remaining its character that it currently has.
What we've done is we've just narrowed the definition.
And if you want to become a city, then you can talk about high density, but we're not doing that here. So,
Well,
right.
I don't think fives is considered high density.
Oh, no, come on.
I think this
I,
is a
I
no
like the
read.
way the rest of that reads,
The Sagle agriculture.
and forest, yeah.
Okay.
I think you did a good job at it.
So in that, in the residential 10, does that also have to meet each of those bullets? And that's why there's a or in between the third and the fourth bullet?
Yes,
Okay.
to indicate that it could be slope or it could be soil type.
Like Milton just said, this is gonna give the T and Z commission really good stuff. They aren't gonna be able to deny where our heads are at and where we, where we want things and how we want things.
Well, hopefully it'll make it harder to
Make changes.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's harder
That's
to,
been the whole plan this.
Could you pull up the current comp plan map and show me where the single agriculture is now? For the ag, not just ag forest, I guess it'd be ag, because I'm so used to looking at ag forest now.
I
But we're
know,
looking at totally new criteria for just agriculture. So we need to zone in on some areas that are pastoral, meadow, perhaps hayland.
Right now, it's combined, right?
Right.
I mean, this dark green is called prime ag forest. This really dark green stuff.
Right.
Which was the pink color that's.
Yeah.
Forest.
Yeah.
Yep, that's great.
And then this was the pink color. This is 20s here. This is dark green. That's currently 20s. Or I mean, zoned ag forest.
Could you go out to the peninsula? If you can come out right about here. And then just do not the overlay. I just want to verify that's where because right now this color is dark blue and that's 10s.
Mhm.
Yes.
And this is the comp plan map, not the
This,
zoning.
this is a comp plan map. So yeah, this is 510s.
5s and 10s right there right now.
Mhm.
And I guess my point being this, we're gonna pull in this big, beautiful meadow, we're gonna be looking at the Pierce family, we're gonna make lessons. We adopt this, now they're going to 20s. That's as small as you're gonna be able to. Just want to make sure that I'm understanding.
Wait, what are you talking about?
If we come this property right here, I think that's Lassen's right in here. Eureka Road takes off about over here.
So I thought we were leaving everything zoned the way it's currently zoned.
Zoning, but you're.
But I mean-
comp planning, you're
but
down-
no,
You're
but-
down zoning the comp plan by fourfold. He could right now go to 5s and now if this is adopted, he's gonna go to 20s. small
No.
size.
I don't know where you're getting 20s from. Because
Because-
I thought the dark blue color in there is Sagle residential 10.
Right, but if, on the current zoning.
That's current
But
zoning
we're
right
making- We're
now.
making comp plans, and so if this is adopted, I guess what I'm
You
getting,
can't go from 10s to 5s.
right now it's 5s and 10s.
Right now it's 5s and 10s and it's zone 10.
Right, so right now that individual can come in here and say, I want to go to 5s, and they
So-
could probably get it. Right, that the earnest financial expectation of
If
that.
it met all those criteria that I showed you in the
Right.
zoning ordinance.
Right. But now that we have a Sagle agriculture, which we've never, ever had a Sagle agriculture, before, we've had an ag forest. And that is,
But only if we designate it as Sagle agriculture. If the map that we have created already shows it as being designated rural residential 10. Right now, it doesn't designate it as agriculture. It designates it as rural residential 10.
and then the trigger mechanism is there. So I guess what I'm getting at, we don't have a Sagle agriculture now. So when planning and zoning, when you guys go around and you actually get to the mapping portion to map this out.
We're going to look at this because you guys have already created a map.
Which hasn't wavered from the current one,
Yeah.
hardly at all. Well, it has, but not.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm getting at is, okay, on this comp plan, where on there are you gonna call now Sagle agriculture?
So it's this pink and it's the pink stuff or whatever that color is for
This
you.
stuff here
Right.
is all, if you went back to that other map, this is all 20. This is
What
all
lake is that
dark
up there?
green.
What Round Lake is that?
This
Yeah.
Brown Lake. This is all ag forest 20s right now. Dark green if you tap back to that other.
So nothing out in the peninsula, dark blue, they're never, that, none of that is gonna be zoned single agriculture.
No,
It's not gonna ever be comp plan single agriculture.
It's not actually in there.
Right.
it's not your recommendation. If it was your recommendation, then
Well, then I have less heartburn.
You know, the,
Because my concern is if we read this, because this is single forest and single agriculture, these are new things. These are new titles that we have.
forestry was what we were gonna just keep forestry.
Right.
But we decided at the
Two
last
times ago.
meeting, that, or whenever it was.
Well, the problem that, if I remember correctly, is we started cherry picking. And it became a little bit difficult to do that.
Yeah.
And this is where we started running into difficulty when we were saying, okay, well, this guy over here can do this, but this guy right next to him can't do that. And I think we're probably better off having a broader brush than cherry picking, because if we cherry pick it, we're gonna be here a long time.
Can we pull into just an aerial without an overlay? I wish we had, how come we don't get laptops?
It's just the setup, sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Go ahead.
Oh, there you go.
Put it out the window. Somebody's painting a picture.
What do you want to see?
That right there. You just think about this. Could you zoom over to where Doug said Round Lake was, and then where the Sagle, where the new Sagle A would be? Could you point that out?
The 20s were these guys, right? I don't know if it was that, but.
Is that by Jewel?
Yeah, right here, yeah. So these
Okay.
are,
But none of those are real ag. I mean, they're all timbered.
mhm.
right,
So they
which
went-
the light
they went-
pink is the ag and the forest are both light pink on the new map.
Okay.
And they both have the same designation, don't they? No, one's flat, one's, but they're both 20 acres.
Don't wait on me, man.
I'm trying to find words that are gonna appease everyone, or
We're not gonna appease everyone.
that's kind of been my feeling all along, but I want to give everybody.
Yeah,
a
we are.
chance. Class trouble.
No, I just have questions. I mean, in my business, I sell these properties to people who have, like say, I like to use the term earnest financial expectations. Hey, I buy it knowing that this is what I can do with it today.
In a state that's called buyer beware.
Right. So I mean, if they're on the menu, they better get it done now, whatever they're gonna do.
Well, they can't sue you later, so don't worry about it.
And then, but there are people who bought land. I have some neighbors. They bought, I mean, it's like straight up. And I don't know how much they bought over there, but they come by they haven't been by for 5 or 6 years now, but they used to come by every year and go, yep, we're gonna build a house up there. And I thought, good luck getting up and down in the winter time, because I mean, it's straight up. So,
All right, what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and prove what we've got here, and
I actually like this. I think this came out pretty good here.
I think probably what we're doing is we're giving these guys what our thoughts are. And I think we got it pretty well. I mean, I feel relatively comfortable with it. I'm still, there were some things recreational I felt a little uncomfortable with. And as I read through, every once in a while I run into things, but
Well, since we're bouncing off of this stuff, which I think it's time, I think we're all past this forest and ag and stuff. On my way out last 2 weeks ago, I was just chatting with these guys a little bit about how the new map looks with the neighborhood. And then even this Sagle mixed commercial. I'm having some problems with how far that within a quarter mile of Southside sewer and water actually stretches out. I know these two guys agreed with me.
I think we talked that one to death too.
I know we did, but we didn't have it on the map. We had my fancy map that I drew up that at a half a mile, and we beat it down to the quarter mile. And me personally, I'm just gonna come out and say it, I do not agree with even the quarter mile now, and if you guys all do, then I'm gonna get outvoted and we're fine. But I'm gonna raise this, I just don't like the quarter mile. I think that, well, and these guys said it too, I think it stretches it too far out over here, and then this is all farmland here. The guy just bought all this and put a big ranch on it, and this is all farmland here. And then of course, this is all our stuff, but if you guys don't want to tackle it, or change it, or if you like it, then we'll leave it. I would like to open it back up to change it, but
You think a quarter mile is too much?
I do. I think it creates a pile of suburban zoning, if you will.
I'll agree with Doug on what he's expressing after looking at it. I feel it pushes it out too far.
So where is the,
Map may not be
Seems to me, I think we discussed that and kind of decided that if this is capitalism, probably going to kick in. And how much is it going to cost to build out that far? And it probably wasn't going to happen, if I remember correctly.
and there was something about how many people you could put on it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. For the distance that it has to go, for the number of people that they have the capacity for, it would be self-regulating. That makes sense? And that's
Well, I
my
don't-
memory.
So how would you change it? From what's a quarter mile is how many?
1320.
1320?
I-
So what would you do?
Well,
Change it down to 1,000 or
what
something?
we did with light industrial was a quarter mile. You could not have that with any further out than a quarter mile from the highway. Then we went to the Sagle mixed use commercial, and you couldn't have mixed use commercial further than a half mile. I personally think half mile is way too far. That's clear down. I mean, that's clear down into this area here. Spades Road or clear, that means you could have some sort of a business clear over here or way down past us, down by the Sagle School.
So what would you
I just
change
don't,
it
I don't,
to?
I don't like it. Well,
Would you change?
I
it?
would put both of those at a quarter mile.
Okay. both of them.
I would put both of those at a quarter mile. And then I would put, depending on how it looked on the map, but I think it would look a lot better than this, I would put Sagle neighborhood at a half mile.
Sagle neighborhood with
I-
half a mile
Of
of water, sewer.
No, we're getting rid of well, I'm not saying we're getting rid of the south side sewer and water, but we went from the highway on this one, from the highway on this one. And we did struggle. We struggled big time on figuring out how to do that.
Yep.
And Milton came up with within the water and sewer district. And then we put it down on the map. And what's that?
Yeah, it's still wide. It does, it almost looks like it's more than a quarter mile on that map.
Right.
That's
So you take Sagle neighborhood out
So-
to a half mile? Yeah, right?
It would be nice to see it on a map, but I think that a half mile would keep it out of all this beautiful farmland on Algoma Road and I mean, a half mile will grow from what it is now, which we understand as a group that there probably should be a little bit more suburban type zoning out there, or at least we're given a little. But I feel like with that quarter mile, we're given a ton, because regardless if the sewer and water come in, let's say they don't come in for 100 years. you're still taking all these that are currently fives, all this stuff is fives, all this stuff is fives, and now you're going down to, well, with what these guys are changing, no, now you're going down to 2.5 if there's nothing there, because it's zoned neighborhood. So even if water and sewer don't do anything, you're taking all those fives and they can be down to 2.5. And then if somebody does some shared well or a little water system, then you're going down to ones. You know, clear out here, right? And that's right off the bat. That's no public hearings or anything.
Okay, so Sagle mixed use commercial would go to a 1/4 mile
Instead of a half.
and, yeah, and Sagle neighborhood would go up to a 1/2 mile?
From the highway.
But there's nothing about the highway in Sagle neighborhood.
Right.
Because I think the intention is being access to water and sewer.
Yeah. There's nothing about the highway in Sagle neighborhood at all. And I think we did that because it was way smaller lot sizes, and we wanted the smaller lot sizes to be where there was water and sewer. And
Right.
that was where how many people this water and sewer could accommodate came in. And we said 1/4 mile because we also named the water and sewer district.
Right.
So if somebody else put a new water and sewer district in there, I mean, I don't think that will happen in 20 years.
Yeah, but are you looking at what I'm talking about here? Are you looking at the way this reads out on the map? Do you know, I mean, are you familiar with Gun Club and then south on Algoma Road, south of the railroad tracks, all the farm fields?
Is that 1/4 mile?
Yes, yes. This is the railroad tracks right here on Algoma. And what's currently zoned suburban is this little chunk right here. But now, since we wrote all that up, it opened a door for all of this stuff. And then clear out over here where it currently is kind of like right here.
Well, where's the Southside Water and Sewer District?
Well, it's,
That's what we need to know. Otherwise, we don't know about this 1/4 or 1/2 mile stuff.
Yeah, I gotta tell you something. I think we're backtracking on stuff that we had pretty good reason for what we did.
yeah, no, and again, I felt in my heart I needed to bring that up and just so I can go to bed at night and say that I did. And when we do present it, I will, if this is still in here, which it sounds like it might be, I will still let the community of Sagle know that I was against that, you know.
And I think that's a legitimate, I really do, because there's, like I said, there's some things I still don't feel comfortable with, but
Like, you know, the language, you know, shall occur within a 1/4 mile of the services.
Is that
It should be,
That's the sewer district.
it should happen, only be allowed within that corridor that they service.
Right.
Because then,
Which would still open it up because they're in a pile of areas that are currently zoned rural. So that, even if we said with where they're currently at in their service area, it would still open it up. It would still create some opportunities for landowners to go to suburban if they wanted to, but not.
down to 2.5.
But we
Is the-
did,
Hook on,
we-
Is the blue the Sagle and Water?
Yep.
The sewer district. Okay, so there's the sewer district there. And
and we actually did put a caveat in, and that's as designated on the map, adopted on this date, so.
Right. No, I just don't like how it expanded that suburban zoning out, because that's exactly what it did. So once I saw it on the map, I became not okay with it. And it was worth me bringing it back
so
up.
the Sagle Water, I mean, the Southside Water and Sewer District does come down. Well, I can't see what all that is down there. How-
That's a mixture of Southside Water and Sewer and Southside Water. And Sagle water.
So Doug,
Oh, okay, that's
so
an
at what
extra
point
bump.
does it
So,
become okay?
What do you mean?
I just, the demand pressures become so great
Right.
that at some point, somebody's gonna see value in spending the money to develop. And if we just flat out say it can't go anywhere,
Yeah.
then I just worry that we set ourselves up for not having any control over it all.
Right.
So and maybe now's not the time to address it. Maybe we leave it in the way it is and address it 10 years down the road. I don't know, or 5 even.
And once again, I think, that becomes a capitalistic thing more so than,
Right.
I mean, you get a developer from LA comes in with the money and hires the new.
I mean, the
Well,
one thing about doing it this way is it doesn't encourage
It what?
it. It doesn't encourage it, right? Which is, I think, what you're after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
Fred, you're saying, a developer come in with some money to do that. What is happening, I work in the building industry and my clients, and then the realtors can attest to this, everything that's going on the market is staying, probably goes second day, and it's going for more than asking. People are, the influx of money is coming in. So that happening is very real,
Oh, yeah.
to buy a chunk.
Listen, I watched Sacramento develop, and Sacramento was just pure raw money. That's all it was. I mean, those people just carpeted.
Well,
all those rice
that's what
fields.
Boise's doing right now. I mean, people are coming with money and they're developing 80 acres at a time.
They just put a moratorium for 6 weeks down in the Boise Meridian. Trying to play some catch up down there.
Yeah.
And it's nuts.
This is part of the reason why I feel so strongly about gaining access and maintaining access to the lake now. Because if we don't do it now, it ain't gonna happen. And I mean, I'm looking at this 30 subdivision, 30 parcel subdivision down in the Campay, and massive amounts of money, massive amounts of money. They're gonna close all that off.
So,
And
I have a question on this map. We're showing the water district right there in the blue, the sewer district.
Yep.
And that's all that it's capable of servicing right now, and it's not even doing that.
Right, that's right.
And is it ever going to be capable of doing all of that?
Eventually.
10 years, 20 years?
Yeah, right. Who
Yeah,
knows?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the area that Doug is talking about goes way beyond what's there already by about a
Quarter mile is what
quarter
it's
mile
supposed
at
to do,
least,
yeah.
into farm ground along the broken
Yeah.
artillery drive and clear over the Gun Club Road and so on. So I think I was missing during that part of the meetings when I was not doing well. And so that's why I'm surprised when he brought it up to me that it expanded as far as it did.
Well, it started out as it was just a suggestion.
Yeah.
And it started out as a half mile and then it came back in.
yeah, what happened is we started drawing things out. And we started looking and Doug brought up some good points about people that, were going to be affected by this very adversely, so we kind of shrank it back in and then it went back out. And this is one of those ones that we've wrestled with for a long time. And I don't know that we're going to have a good answer. That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm not opposed, I'm not for it. I'm
Change
just
it.
saying that we kind of
I think what we were looking at there was just Sagle water. That wasn't Southside sewer. That was just
Right,
Sagle water.
right. Because it's different down here.
Yeah,
Different. We didn't put it down here. We just put it on this one up here.
right.
So one of the things you might want to do is go in and draw this line a little more specific.
Okay, well, like Doug said, if you cross the tracks there into, what's it called, Broken Horn or,
Broken Antler,
yeah, Broken Antler. What color's out there now?
R5.
Okay, it's R5s right now. And That's our proposed map.
Yeah, this is our proposal.
Right now, what is it, 5's out there?
This, other than this square right here, or not quite a square, this is suburban, but then this is all R5s. And then, of course, this whole thing is R5.
Okay, I'm gonna switch back again.
Yeah, I guess, boy, yeah, and we can't even really see what that does to the stuff to the north. You're really gonna create some stuff to the north because of how much sewer and water is up there.
And they had enough capacity, I think, on a pretty fair amount of consent.
You're gonna take a ton of properties and upzone them to suburban.
To make somebody a lot of money.
Bastards.
I think in some ways it needs to just stay the same.
I don't know. If, Milton, you said by doing this, like, say, the quarter mile, that might curb potentially someone coming in. If we got rid of that quarter mile,
That's gonna be their only option.
is come in. But if we had the quarter mile out, I guess.
So
some people
the
still
problem
might-
is that you guys are in this field enough to know that, you know, people that own property are looking at buying property, they have a pencil out, right? And they're looking at, you know, if I buy this lot for 1.2 million, how many pieces do I have to cut it into to get my 1.2 million back plus a nice return? And so that's why they're looking at 12,000 square foot lots. Then if I'm going to do a 12 or a 10,000 square foot lot, what do I have to do? If I put in sewer and water and roads, now I'm looking at what, 250,000 a parcel? And so, or 200, I have no idea, right? And so what is it? Before, where's that breaking point that it finally becomes worth it? We're getting closer. We're getting closer. I mean, that property, that 160 acres sold for 1.6 million. That they're asking to rezone to 5s, and if you can get 32 lots out of that. So, I mean, we have people come in all the time. You know, last week, somebody out in the Selly Valley looking at, I don't know, 100 and some odd acres for 2.4 million. Can we rezone this to 5 acres so I can get my money back? No, it's 20s, dude. So you see what I'm saying? The land values are going up high enough to where people are starting to ask these questions. And I mean, I have 4 zone changes since the first of the year. Where we did like, we did 17 last year, but already 4. So people are asking the questions. The land's not quite there yet to justify, you know, small lots, unless it's at Priest Lake or it's out in Trestle Creek.
So do we shrink down the distance from the highway and
All right, for which one are you talking about?
The
Several mixed use.
The neighborhood.
Neighborhood has no reference to the highway.
Right.
well, shrinkage from shall occur within X number of feet of south side sewer and water and Sagle sewer and water as designated on the map adopted on this date. Want to shrink it down?
How many feet are in a quarter mile?
13, 20.
More feet than I can count.
13, 20.
Feet in a mile is what?
52.
Yeah, I didn't know what he said. but I-
600 feet?
Well, that's planning for growth.
It is. Well, and again, there's still a lot of properties within their area right now that are still large pieces that have that opportunity. So we would be even adding to that, even if we went to this. Even if we went to within the south side sewer and water thing, we would be adding to it without even doing a distance from it, because there's a lot of parcels in there that
that are within
Yeah.
their area.
And someone could still purchase a piece of property, come in and do a PUD regardless, right?
Yeah, but not to get down to those densities. Right?
If they came in and done their own sewer system.
You'd have to rezone it in order to get the densities you're talking about.
So, I mean, it just seems kind of weird that we would be using a quarter mile then of a sewer district if someone wanted to do their own PUD anyway. You know what I mean? They could be within a quarter mile and they can, not hook on to Sagle Sewer, do their own sewer system. Right?
Right.
I mean, I'm looking at which.
But again, if you're in a 5-acre zone and you have a 40-acre piece, that means you can get 8 lots.
Right.
If you do a PUD, you might be able to get 16, maybe. It's going to be really, really hard to get 16 to double the density. More likely, you're going to end up with 12.
Yeah, because you'd have to have.
Well, no, because
property
of
available for your
the
system.
well, no, because of the density requirements. You have to have so much open space to increase your density. You have to have, trails, hiking trails. You have to, have all kinds of things in place to increase your density or to get density bonuses.
I guess.
So a PUD is a PUD is a possible threat, but it's not. You can't lay down a PUD in an R5 zone and create 110,000 square foot lots, right?
So as I look at Sagle neighborhood, you have to be within a quarter mile south side water or sewer. Clearly, the idea is there to be within a quarter mile that you're going to be able to hook on to a system.
Well, that, or again, I think it's planning for growth, right?
Right.
And the question is it 5 years or 10 years worth of growth?
Or never,
right?
you never know. But
Well, it's not ACIs. That's right.
so I mean, if they have water sewer and within a quarter mile, you go down to 10,000 square foot lots if you had hookups.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, and the whole idea, the theory behind that is you're hooking water sewer. So like my idea was, well, if someone came up with some kind of a system, the lowest density they could go would probably be, depends where it's at, it could be 2.5 or 5s. I'm thinking right there.
Well, how does that affect us dropping the distance? I mean, if we drop the distance, they still have the option to build their own PUD.
Right, but nowhere near that density. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you got a hand up back there.
Yes,
I think everything is currently in the water district and sewer district. Right now, I think already zoned suburban in their district. Current zoning right now, I think I see it's exactly where the boundaries are.
Yeah, can you go to that, Milton?
Yeah. Well, it's even wider because this squares up already.
And so that's my point is that even if, as the zoning is right now, we've got a lot of that area suburban. The second comment I was going to make is that, Doug mentioned it going to 660 foot from those. The problem with that is if you're worried about land ice property, that 160 has down there, you go 1 foot, I doubt you're going to be able to split that whole 160 acres. So even if you expanded it 1 foot from the existing sewer lines, boom. Should be. That's a trigger. Yeah, because you don't really want to split zone.
You don't want to split zone.
That's was the parcel I had in mind was Land's property. When I asked my question about PUD, because that soil lends itself pretty well for a sewer system.
there you go, Doug.
Where's the sewer district again? Is it on there?
Yeah, it's on there. It's just not, it's this light blue,
Oh, yeah.
so borders it, but
What about to the north? Let's shoot up to the north.
To the south side waters.
so it pretty much matches it.
Well, so see, if this is,
Yeah, then this, these are all 5s. right? So this
Oh,
is
yeah.
all- So this is all fives, this whole swath through here.
Mhm.
Well, we're gonna be a quarter mile from this whole thing, quarter. Say that, this whole thing will be
Except for,
neighborhood zoning.
we said, in here it says quarter mile of south side sewer and water, on Sagle water. and sewer. So it does say both.
Yeah.
I can read. Wow.
That's even worse than around the Sagle.
We have other criteria, right? I mean, will the streets handle that? I mean, there are all kinds of other criteria other than.
What's that?
You've
yellow-
watched cities
what's that
grow.
yellow
You just keep
symbol?
building it until the streets break and they're forced.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, it's apparently. I've never seen any city plan roads.
Well, do you want to put that kind of? I mean,
Put it to motion, Doug.
That's what I did last time, and I gained last time. I should do it again.
Well, we only got 2 more meetings and we're almost done for tonight, so.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion. Sorry. I'm gonna make a motion. We move the land use Sagle neighborhood designation shall only occur within 600 feet of south side sewer and water.
Why don't you just make it an eighth of a mile? That's it.
An eighth of a mile, 1/8 of a mile.
That is.
that way we don't have to rewrite it.
Well, everything else is in portions of miles, not so many feet.
All right,
Okay.
here a second.
You sure you don't want to take it out completely?
I know,
You want to take it out completely?
I do. Within its own, the district's boundaries.
I
Okay, I
concur.
like that better.
I concur.
I'm gonna rescind
I'm
mine.
actually concurring.
I'm gonna rescind mine.
A pearl of wisdom.
It wasn't seconded.
I would just stay within those boundaries that are there now for servicing. Just 660 feet. That's a bunch.
Yeah.
So
So,
I think the
so-
Sagle neighborhood,
so it would read, the land use designation shall
Only occur with,
only exist within the boundaries of the south side sewer and water and Sagle sewer and water as designated on the map adopted on the state.
But
Wait,
then,
wait a minute.
yes.
We have a motion on the floor, and if we
I
don't have a
res- I-
second.
it wasn't seconded.
It died.
Okay, I didn't hear that it
That's the
died.
Marcus of
I
Queensberry
actually-
rules.
So.
I thought he
I got a
was
question.
seconding it, which meant that
And
it's
I'm
open
actually
for
kind of online with
discussion.
this. But Milt, what happens if the sewer district boundaries expand?
That's what I'm.
Well,
my-
that's-
Well, that's why we
Okay.
said it's
Amend the
adopted.
plat
on
map
the
or
state.
amend the comp plan.
Says as
as,
adopted on this date. Maybe we
Right.
should remove that adopted on the state. Residential designation shall,
And there's the curveball.
land use designation shall only occur within within Saucer Water Sewer District boundaries, and just leave that as designated on map adopted.
And who's in charge of that?
Well, the Sagle Water,
Southside
Sagle Water and Southside Water and Sewer.
Do they talk to each
what
other?
if they get a $100 million grant and they expand from Gold Hill to Missouri Mountain?
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna
Well,
make a lot of
and
money.
So I,
Do they actually work in conjunction with each other?
We had a zone change yesterday in front of the board up at Priest Lake. That 11 acres. They're a mile from whatever sewer district they were close to. The sewer district wrote them a letter and said, we'll serve them.
You dig it,
Yeah,
we'll serve you.
we'll serve
So,
you.
yeah, so
So they approved the zone change.
leaving it open to their boundaries is.
So
yeah, I don't agree with that.
I'm telling you, there's
I didn't hear a
curveballs in this
motion.
stuff, man.
and something else to bear in mind, particularly with these sewer and water districts. Sewer is only served to some, like, Southside's water, it comes up through, say, all the water towers there and stuff, it's water, it's not sewer.
Right.
So to encourage growth beyond that to smaller parcels. Now you're, okay, well, now they got water. They flush the toilet and take a shower. You gotta dispose of that somewhere in your front yard. So, yeah, I don't want to see it grow outside of the current boundaries of this state.
Okay, I agree with that.
So are you making that a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion, the current boundaries that are established by those sewer and water districts, on this date is, for Sagle neighborhood, does not exceed those lines.
Question for clarification. When you say on this date, do you mean today, February 25th? Or
Maybe
would this language would be when it goes before the county commissioners, they sign off? Those
When is it?
boundaries, that date.
When it's
Yeah.
accepted. I would second that, so we can discuss it.
So second, so.
Yes, I did. second.
Okay.
So
Need a
just
vote.
Well,
because
let's have a clear, let's know what,
we're not supposed to discuss until there's a second.
no,
Well, yeah,
I want to know exactly what the,
How it reads.
how it reads.
So it would read, the land use designation shall only occur within Southside sewer and water and Sagle water and sewer as. Oh, shall only exist within Southside sewer and water and Sagle sewer and water as designated. So
Can we put
he
s-
edited it, so how does, right?
Yeah, that's
So
it.
Okay.
how it reads up there is. how
Okay,
it
okay,
reads.
okay, we've got a motion, second discussion.
On up there where it's supposed to shall only exist within Southside water sewer and water and Sagle water, it should say or Sagle waters. Not and, because those.
Come on, it has to exist in both at the same time.
That's my big question is, do they coordinate with
No.
each other? Do they, so it should say and, because
When the
it's
grill
just
was
like,
open.
It would
Just
have to
like
be
Joe
in
said,
both of
you
them, and
don't
they don't
want-
overlap.
just because I decide I want a little lot there and Sagle Water says, yeah, you're within our boundaries, but I don't have sewer now because I'm not in their boundaries. It should be both.
Well, they're not combined together.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
So
I-
are the boundaries the same?
You can't get water from one and go to the bathroom in the other.
So
It doesn't work.
The
There's a
bound,
couple ways you could have said that.
the two boundaries meet.
Are the boundaries the same?
What is drawn, what appears on the map,
Within
encompasses
proximity.
both entities. They butt to each other, but they don't overlap.
Well, but I mean, yeah, they have, so then it should be and.
Okay, next,
I think we might need to make another change. So that next part, Sagle neighborhood allows for smaller residential lots for subdivisions. The minimum lot size is 10,000 square feet, where urban, it should be water and sewer improved services are present. Because otherwise, where Sagle water and sewer is, there's no sewer. So they go down to 10,000 square foot lots and have no sewer. I think the intent is they must have both
both.
water and sewer. So could we add after size of 10,000 square feet where
Urban water and sewer.
water, urban water and sewer are available? And that way, if they don't have the Sagle water, 2.5 acres is the minimum size. Am I stating that clearly?
So did you guys vote on the previous, we had a motion. You guys do a vote on that motion before going to this next step?
Well, we were in discussion.
Okay.
That's where we were. We haven't called it to a vote yet.
Yeah, after, you're not supposed to we always discuss before there's even a motion.
Yeah,
on
we
the
were just
floor.
going on to another section of the paragraph, that's why I was asking.
And Milton's typing away as fast as we speak. So I'm
So you were only addressing the top paragraph.
Right, the
that's what
top
we're working on
paragraph
now.
is the only one that's actually on the
Okay.
floor to be. So we done discussing it?
So the land use designation shall only occur within Southside sewer and water and Sagle water and sewer as designated on the map adopted on the state. The question was and or.
Yeah,
Right.
that's my question.
I don't, I guess I can see both ways. I don't know if one makes it different.
You couldn't exist in both. I just don't see
And
that.
implies.
They don't
Yeah,
get along
both.
that well.
Or is
Or-
there in one or the other?
Right.
Dump enough money in it.
Yeah,
Good one.
okay.
Because they don't work
So or,
together.
yeah, or's good.
All
So let's
right,
change that to or.
okay, once again, read it out loud so everyone,
It's up here.
He's
Okay.
got it right there.
It's literally right behind you. The land use designation shall only exist within Southside Sewer, Water, or Sagle Water and Sewer as designated on the map adopted on this date.
okay, we had a motion, seconded. You ready? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Did we have to do the same thing where we did the correction down on the other one?
Next
Say
paragraph down.
In the second paragraph.
where Mark made a comment on the
So
1,000 square
Sagle
feet.
neighbor allows for smaller than.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, I don't think we need it.
Just.
As long as Mel's got it.
Where
It's-
urban-
It's a big change.
where
That was a
urban
little
and-
change.
It's changed.
Well, that's what,
Okay.
it just says urban and improved services, and all we're doing is saying what those are.
Okay.
Do we have enough time to do my half mile question on the mixed use commercial?
Yeah. Keep it short.
Do we like that? I know-
Where part of it?
So the Sagle
Sagle
mixed
mixed
use
use.
commercial, this designation shall be located within a half mile of US 95 or an associated frontage road. To me, that stretches out where you can have mixed use commercials, again, way, too far down Gun Club for me, too far down Sagle Road for me. That goes pretty much down to the Sagle School or maybe even a little bit past.
That'd be positive.
Monarch Road.
Anybody remember why we came up with the half a mile?
Here's what I think, here's what I think the reason we came up with that is because we made light industrial a quarter, so we thought we had to extend it. I don't feel that way. I've always felt we can have light industrial within a quarter mile, but we can also have Sagle mixed use commercial within that same quarter mile. It doesn't have to go in waves.
Well, remember that includes residential.
Right.
The mixed use is residential, and we didn't want residential right up next to the highway.
Yeah.
That was the big difference.
I remember that was another one, we talked to death and kind of,
Like 2 meetings worth.
What's that?
I mean, because the map
That
doesn't
was-
show that,
Yeah.
right? The map doesn't show that right now.
What's brown done?
I have no idea.
The
Oh,
milk.
commercial.
That's
Is
the
that
commercial.
commercial? That must be commercial. Or what we call light industrial.
Okay.
That must be,
Industrial, commercial.
industrial, commercial.
Oh, I was in community, I guess it was like. That's what I thought.
Oh, community.
Communities, dark green colors.
If you look at the whole discussion on it, Doug, on the second paragraph, there's a lot of stuff in there that says, that delineates what
Yeah.
can be done.
yeah,
Okay.
we really limited the amount of commercial that could go into the residential.
The only thing that I see in there is that in the second, third line, in the second paragraph under there, it says any industrial or storage uses should be screened from views. And maybe you wouldn't like there to be industrial in there. But that's the only thing, the second paragraph under mixed use commercial, third line down.
And
Any
then,
industrial or storage uses. So if you don't want industrial in there, otherwise, it's basically residential with some little, look what it is.
on that, many months ago, we were talking about it. I know we had a conversation that was, what came up is, home-based business
Yeah.
that, I could, or 1, 2, 4 out. Somebody could, be building cabinets in their garage or, tuning up the neighbors' cars, or
Okay.
they could actually be running a home-based business.
Yeah.
is what I recall we discussed about.
Yep.
Getting
And
those
it talks
people.
All right.
I knew there was a reason why we extended that out.
Pedestrian oriented.
Huh?
And I mean, there's a lot of things that limit this, but the only thing that I can see that might cause concern is that word industrial. But I think industrial includes a lot of things that aren't necessarily noisy.
Well, a cabinet shop would be industrial. And I don't know that it's
And
outrageous.
that would be sort of noisy, but not.
Fabrication of anything. You want to sit home and make fish fingers.
Big noise.
We could get an
All right.
ammunition plant.
That's good.
You okay with it, Doug?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right, any other?
The land use.
Are we almost done
I
with this
think we're
land
almost done
use?
with the.
Yeah, we're
So
done with
what do we have left to do in our next two?
I think we should draw some sort of explanation or narrative as to how we came to a lot of this. It probably would go a long way to help people that really haven't, I mean, they haven't followed us. They don't know what we did.
Did
I
you
mean-
look at the very beginning of our booklet that we started back 2 years ago?
1642.
But there's a big list, there's a big thing in here that talks about the introduction, that talks about statement of purpose and our rural character. There's a bunch of things that talk
Yeah.
about why we went there.
Yeah, but we're now at the end. And what drove us at the beginning is probably not as exact. I think there was a lot more loftiness at the beginning.
There was, well, read them and see what you think.
No,
I
will.
reread this entire thing, that's what it has all these little marks in it, and this thing I sent out with this.
And we all appreciated that.
Yeah, and then, I mean, because I read the whole thing and said, yeah, that's what, and the thing that I thought was very cool about that is that in spite of the fact there's only 3 of us here from the very beginning, and there were like 8 or 10 of us for a while, we all kept all that stuff that we wrote up 3 years ago or whenever it was. I think it was at least.
Well, why didn't everybody think about that? I mean, is that something that we'd want to do? Is kind of a joint statement as to how we kind of got to where we
That
are?
could be our homework. We could write up a little bit and then that's what we could work on in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I kind of view that as our final thing.
Like
And
when it's
then-
being presented.
Yeah, because there's some people that probably aren't going to be at the presentation that may want to read it. You know,
So we have until the end of March. But when is it?
Not quite the end of March.
So what we'd like,
21st.
the ideal situation would be that we have a community meeting and present this to the community. You guys present this to the community probably sometime in end of April, Mayish.
Oh, that late?
And then it's scheduled to go to P and Z in June. So then you'll present it to the P and Z Commission in June,
So we have to have it finished by the end of
March.
March.
Yeah.
But
Two
then
more
we
meetings.
schedule a meeting with the community before we present it.
Yep.
Okay.
So I get the timeline. So you're right anytime after the end of March to present to the executive committee.
Yep.
So I would, anybody who's new that should, I mean, wasn't in on the writing of this, should read it and see if you want to change something about it. But I mean, there are 3 pages here of why we're doing this and.
kind of fun to
Right, so-
rewrite the history of Sagle.
Interesting.
Well, it
what-
doesn't, it just actually 2 pages.
I could write my.
A statement of purpose and our rural character, which was basically the statement of purpose, tell you the truth.
Okay, so before we break, so we're gonna get more information on this soil stuff for next week time. You were asking those questions and we're
Sure.
gonna clean that up
Sure.
so we can finish this last tail of that.
Okay.
All right. And we fixed that. Oh, there's been here a long damn time. When we went through this thing periodically, there's some portions we said we're gonna have to go back to. Have we done that? And cleaned up any of that?
No,
So
awesome.
that's what we need to read through and do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's why I wrote this thing. I mean, the biggest thing that been really bugging me is that photo on the first page that I think you guys gave that photo, and it's covering up a big part of the thing, and I don't think I can reformat that on my
No,
computer.
and we'll take care of all that.
Yeah, that
So
would, and
with,
that would have to be.
with the correction or with the edits we made today, how big of a deal would it be for you guys to email us out? I know,
The whole
I know,
enchilada.
I know Amanda did it,
Right,
A
just
little while
before
ago.
she left, yep.
but is it a big deal to put these in there?
To
Well,
resend you
just-
Amanda's email? No, it's easy.
Just with today, with like 2 weeks ago's edits and today's edits or whatever, well, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
today's edits.
Well, it would.
Put
what
that
we
in the
need is
document.
It to be reformatted with some of there's some things like this at the bottom of the page, and reformatting would fix all that. And I don't, but I.
Oh, you mean that should be on the next page over?
Yeah, or it
That's-
might
That's
That's not our concern.
right. Let them handle that.
If you'd like to come in and borrow a computer, we're happy to have
What
you.
we're concerned about is the language.
Well, we wanted, yes, that's formatting, but we want a document that we can look through and go, oh, this. I mean, there are a couple big deals to me. The big deal was, there were two, I can't remember which sections they were, but they had the same paragraph and two sections.
And the-
They'll pick that up. I mean,
And so those things need to be, we need to look at those again and say, which one does it belong in?
Oh, I see.
And so, and I wrote it by page number, which then I sent out.
Well,
was
when
by
they're
page
going
number.
to change the things we've done in the last 2 meetings
Yeah,
and send that out, and this is our ability, if you find something that's a typo or misplaced, then we express it at that time before we conclude this.
Yep.
yeah, that's what all this is. That's what all this stuff is.
Right.
Our concern right now is getting the verbiage that we've discussed and agreed upon and voted upon out to us again, so we all read it and make sure we're all clear on it.
and I add a caveat to that, and my gut instinct is that
And that's.
we're all
that's
gonna have a
what,
million different,
That's what.
we're gonna have a lot of different corrections. I think we ought to be a little bit accepting in some of this stuff.
Yeah, right.
Because a lot of the stuff we did before, I don't remember why we did it. I just remember we had a good reason for doing it that we all agreed.
Well, that's you.
And, well, and I think we've
2 more meetings and I quit.
No, here's what, I'm gonna make a motion here, and that is that the county support us tonight at which, what's a good,
Cootie River and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the hydrant, they have a nice water there.
I think what we did, our
I think I got
mindset,
the answers.
our
We can always
mindset
pass them
previously was this was going to be the document. Now this is going to be a guide for the planning and zoning commission. So if there's a period missing or a comma in the wrong spot, I'm fine. I don't care about that. I want this to paint a clear picture of where we're at, and then they can take it from there.
And there are things that I have marked up in here. One is the fact that there's this whole section that's all highlighted. Well, what are we gonna do with that? Why is that highlighted? We need to look at it and say, is this something we need to deal with? And when the top paragraphs are the same on 2 pages,
Yeah.
we need to look at that and go, which one does it really belong in?
Okay. So
I think you're worried about our grade.
when do you think we can get that? 'Cause
I don't care
wanna
about that. I
actually-
just want it to be.
Hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah, because it's just, it was just these
Yeah.
little changes. I want to print that one out for the next 2 meetings, so I can
Yep.
just sit here and read through it.
Well,
We
the,
get- if
the
we
big
could get-
question you need to ask is like the graphs, some of those things that, you remember Mark Pecknick? He did a lot of those graphs more than 2 years ago. They're
Yeah.
probably outdated and don't have much
Right.
relevance.
Now, at least my concern is that, which we nailed down the rural character. I think we could read through that paragraph and that'll be fine. And then, all the goals and policies, I just can't imagine wanting to change a ton of those on any of that stuff, but
Well, there's things, most of what I pointed out in here, things like this line that ends in and other end. And
I think that's
where
probably
it
just a
ends.
typo.
And, well, I don't know if it's a typo. Does something go there? That we intended to go there?
Probably.
So let's read,
Yeah.
let's
But
read
we
through
need
it
to look at
over the
that.
next 2 weeks, so we really, and let's just bring in, if we have concerns, let's get them laid out. That'll be next meeting. Does that sound good?
So we're pretty much done with it, right?
Would it be possible to stop by your office and get a printed copy? Because I don't know if my printer can make that many. Many pages of.
I'm not, I'm gonna do it on screen. I'm not gonna print it.
I'm drinking.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
it's,
got paper. I got ink. Drink beer. I guess I know where my ink now.
You do. Where?
Online, one ink. Previously, on ink,
so you
my
guys,
printer reloaded Staples, $8.
I know.
I got online, and I'm like, what? What do you mean $19? 20 bucks. I'm like, well, I ordered two. It was with shipping $43. It's the same damn ink cartridge you get from Staples. I got 2 loads for half the money of one out there. Yeah.
so nobody seconded my motion that the county pay for an evening. All right, I tried.
Okay, I make a motion we adjourn.
Second,
Doug Gunner will second.
all in favor?
All right.
Yep, done.
Okay, we know our homework.